Knowing which champions to keep and which ones are food on your raid account as a beginner is one of the most daunting things to figure out ever. Which is what this video is going to be all about, man. We're going to be breaking down a few champion types that are not super obvious for you to be holding on to, but that you might just want to keep in things like your champion vaults and just be holding on to them for future use. Let's begin. First of all, fusion champions. Dude, I got the advice all the time talking about, oh, you need to make sure that you have champs ready to fuse champions in the summoning portal and blah, blah, blah. And I was never really told as a new player why it's important, why it's such a big deal, right? Which is sort of important for me. I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to do what I'm told unless I understand the process, unless I understand what the end product is and why something is so important, right? So why are the fusion champs important? Well, there's champs like, of course, Rajin and Lady Mikage, who are just powerful champs, right? Especially Lady Mikage, you know, when you can eventually get around to fusing her, and it's going to take a long time. It's going to be a huge power spike to your account, right? The likes of Relic Keeper. This guy, he's not that good of an epic, right? He's not exactly going to be the biggest power spike in the world to your account, so why is he so important? Well, let me tell you, new player, okay? You're eventually going to need to fuse Justicia down here, right? Which is this guy just here. Of course, he's required to fuse Relic Keeper. You're going to need to fuse Justicia to progress your Arbiter missions, right? Your missions track. You cannot progress that goddamn track unless you eventually fuse your Justicia, okay? So you're going to be wanting to collect all of the components below so you can eventually make that fusion when the time comes. And it's the same deal with Relic Keeper as well, okay? You're simply not going to be able to unlock your free legendary in the form of Arbiter via the Arbiter missions track unless you fuse Relic Keeper. It's just as simple as that. And I wish somebody had just told me that, that I'd eventually have to fuse this guy in order to progress my account and grab Arbiter. It would have made it so much clearer. Oh, okay, I'll get right on that, you know? As it happens, I wasn't really ready when the time came, and it kind of stalled my progress for, well, to be fair, for like 5 days or something, you know? Didn't hold me back that much, but even still, it's good to know the why of it. Broadmoor is also another fantastic, repeatable fusion. Okay, so the likes of Rajin and Lady Mikage can only be fused one time. Broadmoor can be fused infinitely, which is awesome for a reason we're going to get to in just a little bit. He's not that difficult of a fusion, right? A lot of uncommons go into some Void champs here. The hardest two champs to come across are the Void rares, Hither and Thither. But once you've got those together, you can fuse yourself a Broadmoor. He's a very solid epic support champ for the Lizardmen, particularly for Faction Wars, right? For his revive skill, because in Faction Wars, you want to be clearing stages with all of your champion team alive, right? So it's a Lizardmen only team that you're bringing into Faction Wars. Chances are it's not going to be the strongest team in the world, right, as a result, because you're only picking from your Lizardmen champs. And so having revives on your team is going to help you to ace every stage in Lizardmen Faction Wars, which is great, you know. And for an epic reviver, having a double revive like this, just very solid indeed. And so you'll probably get some decent use out of Broadmoor while your account is yet young. Now, why is Broadmoor also such a premium fusion? It's because there is an event known in Raid as the Champion Chase Tournament, right? The Champion Chase Tournament. What's this tournament all about? Well, it's just about acquiring champs on your account, ideally of increasingly high rarities, right? So epics and legendaries are going to earn you all kinds of Champion Chase Tournament points and unlock you all kinds of free rewards while those are active. Now, if you fuse the likes of a Relic Keeper during a Champ Chase tournament, you're going to get yourself 250 tournament points. For a Rajin, because he's legendary, you're going to get yourself 500 tournament points. But for Broadmoor, even though he's only an epic, he's a Void epic, and so you're going to bag 350 tournament points instead, which is just great. In fact, even just for fusing the rare champions, rare Void champions during Champ Chase tournaments, that's 50 points as well, man, just for a rare champ. So even these are worth just fusing over and over again. Yeah, just to get yourself some easy tournament points when those events go live. Again, another thing I wish that somebody just taught me about fusions, you know? It's one of those kind of slept-on tips that people don't really think to bring up to newer players. So there you go, man, and bringing it to you guys now. Another tip, just kind of diverging from the topic of this video real quick, is to always start off your new raid accounts using a promo link, such as the promo link down below at the top of the video description, man, which will kickstart your new raid account with a whole bunch of starting rewards, as well as a free epic champion in the form of the lovely boss killer attack champion, Juliana. Clicking on that link and creating a new account, maybe even if you're a veteran player, you want to start like a new free-to-play adventure or something like that, well, hell, doing so will help to support this channel by a hell of a lot. So I'd really, really appreciate it for anybody who goes ahead and hits that link and starts their new raid account, man. Some other less obvious champions that you want to hold on to as a new player are going to be copies of existing rare champions that you already own. Why? You're going to be using these as your faction guardians in your guardian ring building, if and when you eventually unlock it, right? If you're a very, very new player, you might not even have this building just yet, but if I go into my demon spawn faction right here, you can see I've stuffed rare champions into all of these guardian slots. You need 2 copies of any champion really from that faction to go ahead and unlock all of these faction-wide passive buffs, right? 10% HP, 10% attack, most importantly, +7 accuracy there in the middle, which is great, and the +3 speed at the end is also fantastic, right? These are big faction-wide buffs to all champs, in this case from the Demon Spawn faction, and so saving your copies of your rare, epic, and legendary champs is going to be very, very crucial too. And in fact, something that I learned early on, right, and I'm glad I picked this up early on and just tried it out, is that, dude, you can just, if I wanted to, I could just stuff like 10 copies of Diabolist into all of these Demon Spawn slots. For a little while when I first unlocked the Guardian Ring, right, for some reason I just thought, oh, so I need 2 copies of like unique champions, right? So like Petrifia over here on the left side, and then like Abyssal just here, then Diabolist here, and blah blah blah, right? No, it can just be 10 Diabolists, man, which is great for Demon Spawn because she's campaign farmable, right? You can just farm her on stage 12 as you're farming up food champions and stuff like that, right? You're hitting the campaign, you're just going to get Diabolists coming out of your ears, and so it's very, very easy to just fill up all of these rare Demon Spawn slots with Diabolists, you know, and you can do a similar thing as well with the other factions too, where there are rare champions that you can farm in the campaign for that faction. Another thing you can do in the Guardian Ring as well is, of course, going to be empowering your champions. I'd highly, highly recommend that you use any champion copies to fill up your faction Guardian slots before you spend copies to empower champions, right? Just because faction Guardian slots empower the entire faction, whereas empowering champions, it just empowers that one champion, you know, by spending a copy into them, for example, which, yeah, it's just much less net gain for your account. And next up, champs that you might just want to keep in your vault for later use is going to be champs like good old Grinner. Why? Well, we've already touched on this just a little bit, but as a new player, you gotta understand, man, that the power of a good revive champ, or honestly, even a bad revive champ on your account, especially if your account's quite new, is going to be massive, okay? Revivers are just very, very crucial to have, and ideally having at least one reviver-style champ for every single faction type in the game is just going to be a massive, massive boon to your account as time goes on, right? And you're trying to progress things like faction wars. So while Grinner might not be the best champ in the game, in fact, I think his reviews are, I mean, you know what, they're above average, to be fair, for, I think they're about fair. Those reviews, even though he's not that amazing, and right now I'm not using him in that many places, I'm holding on to him, right, just because he's my only Undead Hordes reviver. Okay, so that's the deal with that. Another style of champ you want to hold on to, ideally one for every faction, is going to be the likes of Soulborn Boya, which is a champ that has attacks all enemies on the A1. Champs like this cannot be underestimated, man. If you have any champ for any faction, even if it's an uncommon, honestly, that has an attack all enemies, just hold on to them. Just hold on to them, because you can eventually equip them in a stun gear set later on. Okay, you might want to level them up to only level 50. You might not always take them up to max level, but as long as they have that stun set equipped, okay, every time they attack in, they have a percentage chance to stun all enemies, right? Which is just awesome, okay? So having an attack all style champ for every single faction is going to help out in faction wars, it's going to help out in secret rooms, okay? And those kinds of things. And if you don't know what secret rooms are because you're such a new player, you'll learn in time. It's not that big of a deal, it'll become clear in time. Another champ I'm holding on to for this purpose as well is also Meatcarver Torlog of the Skinwalkers. Again, he's another single target reviver, this time for the Skinwalkers, right? He's a pretty decent champ. I mean, he's barely got any reviews going, but his reviews are pretty decent, and it's mostly because of faction wars, right? Don't trust reviews, by the way. The in-game reviews are often bad. That's just another little side tip there for any newer players that are watching this. Go to hellhades.com and search up a champ that way on hellhades.com, and yeah, you're going to get much, much more up-to-date and sort of like honest reviews of how good a champ is in different areas of the game. But yeah, Torlog is another champ that I'm holding on to just because he's a single target reviver, and even if I'm not using him anywhere near at endgame currently, He's a guy that, honestly, maybe I should just put him in my vault or something. Keep him secret. Keep him safe until I actually require him to do the reviver job in Skinwalker's Faction Wars. And so we covered fusions. We covered what? Revivers and like Faction Wars style champs that you might just want to hold on to and save for later use. And of course, we covered the Faction Guardians as well. And so, yeah, I think that those are all of the less obvious champs where you can take a look at your account and kind of figure out which ones you really need to keep and which ones are really food. Okay, but yeah, filling out, oh my god, man, filling out your Faction Guardian slots. This is something I've slacked on bigly, okay, massively. I should have really filled most of these up by now and started progressing much more on the epics, but I just slacked on it for a while, so don't be like me. And hey man, the clan versus clan is active, so why not help out your clanmates with a free little promo code, good old Game Leap, to get your hands on 10 free experience brews, a free energy refill, and 100,000 silver, man. Every little bit of energy refill can help in the clan wars. God damn it. So make sure to share this code with your clanmates if it is, well, if you've already used it yourself. And that'll be all for this one. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all did enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good luck in the clan wars. And I'm going to catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.